Welcome back to On to the Next Thing. Today's episode is going to be not really a podcast episode at all. It's going to be a little project that I've been working on because I saw some fucking annoying mouth breathers on Reddit um, not understanding the point of Caddo Lake, a 2024 science fiction film that I greatly enjoyed. This is going to be in lieu of an episode because I've been kind of trying to get my shit back on track, and I need to figure out who the next guest is going to be and kind of the schedule moving forward. Because right now I'm kind of on a weird 1.5 week schedule where I'm recording on like late in the week or the weekend because my first half of the week is all just full of classes and stuff. So kind of figuring out my recording schedule, but in the meantime, I want to tide us over and maybe take the channel in a bit of a new direction by having something that's definitely more of a piece of video content. And this is going to be the incest-free guide to Caddo Lake. So Caddo Lake is, like I said, it's a science fiction film from 2024. I discussed it on one of the episodes previously. I don't remember exactly which one. I kind of forget exactly. I don't remember who the damn thing is. Jeez. The director. See, I should have memorized this before. The director was two people named Logan George and Celine Held. And it had kind of like a more independent cast. I guess probably Dylan O'Brien and I believe Eliza Scanlon are kind of the two most famous actors in the movie. Everyone else is like relatively unknown, at least to me. I don't know. Maybe Dave Maldonado, is that a person? He played the sheriff. And he looks so stern. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But everyone does their role really well. I've reviewed this movie already. It's good. You should watch it. But there are some issues with people interpreting the movie because it doesn't spell it out for you like you're a baby. And there's time travel involved. It was actually produced by M. Night Shyamalan. That's a real fact. It doesn't show it in here, but yeah, directors, production. Oh, you can look at the production stuff like that at IMDB Pro, but on Wikipedia it says it was produced by M. Night Shyamalan, and in the credits it says it was produced by M. Night Shyamalan. So you know it's going to have kind of a twist of some kind. I mean, not necessarily. He's just the producer, but if he's funding it, it's got to have some direction. Um, but yeah, it's basically spoiler alert. Major spoilers. All right, major spoilers this entire time. Damn, I've talked about this all out of order. Major spoilers for the rest of this entire video. Go watch the movie, unless you don't care. If you don't care, you just want to watch me talk about it and like do this little diagram thing I got over here. That's fine. But major spoilers from here on out. So Lake Caddo, Caddo Lake, not Lake Caddo. Jesus Christ. It's a time travel movie. Okay, that's the whole plot device that everyone, that you kind of figure out over the course of the movie, or if it got spoiled for you or whatever. But it's a time travel movie. The lake has a time warp in it, or some type of weird rip in the space-time continuum right out in the middle of this lake, and it's only active when the lake is dry, basically. I guess water just like kills it or breaks up the magnetic field or something. It's not explained because it's not really important that the mechanism is explained. But that's the MacGuffin. That's the Chekhov's gun. Or no, Chekhov's gun is something different. It's the MacGuffin. Okay, it's the mechanism or by which the plot moves forward. It's the thing that everyone's trying to figure out. Um, but yeah, okay. So setting. Let's talk about the setting here. All right, Caddo Lake. It's a real lake in the real world. It's down in like Georgia. It's like it covers a couple states, I think. In the movie here, it says that it's on like the Louisiana Texas border. So like like the sticks, like way out there in fucking bumfuck Louisiana. I kind of thought it was in Georgia, and I thought I did some research that mentioned that it was in Georgia. Like, I mean, I don't know. I guess I could just get out of there. Duh. Never mind. All right, I can't look actually because this stupid thing won't get out of the way. So whatever, banner, whatever. I'm a grandpa when it comes to using this stuff, and it's fucking Zoom. So all right, I'm digressing. I'm digressing. Stay focused. Focus, 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 focus. Caddo Lake. All right, it's on the Louisiana-Texas border. We're way out in the sticks. The main family is Ellie, who's played by Eliza Scanlon. Her mom, Celeste. See that? Celeste. And then she lives with her stepdad, Daniel, who has his own daughter, Anna, who is Ellie's stepsister. And they are close, but Ellie has had like Ellie's like strong-willed and wants to like get away from her mother, who's kind of like flaky and kind of a bitch, basically. That's kind of the whole like that's the crux of the conflict. Like Ellie has run away before, and because Celeste is being fucking mean because she's mad that her that Ellie's father left like years and years ago and disappeared and never came back and like maybe had like an ex-girlfriend or something, but that gets totally turned upside down. Just you wait. Okay, but that's the point. That's the dynamic here. Celeste is the mom. I can even write it out here. Mom. Ugh, MS Paint sucks. Let me turn the mom. Whatever. That's her. Okay. Daniel's just some guy. We don't really know Anna's mom, and that doesn't really become important at any point. And this is in the quote unquote modern day year of 2022, which is the year that like the main plot is set. Now, also, meanwhile, actually, I haven't even talked about the plot mechanism here. Okay, so Anna at one point, because Ellie goes and runs off and goes and stays at her friend's house, which happens sometimes when she gets in a fight with her mom. Um, Anna wants to go with her because they're sisters. They do everything together. They go out on their like pontoon boats out onto the lake and they go exploring out there. And um, so when Ellie goes to her friend's place, Anna doesn't know where Ellie went, and so she tries to follow her. She thinks she went out to the lake for some reason, and so she goes out on a pontoon boat by herself, and she's only like 9 years old, or 8 or 9 years old, or whatever. And so she goes out into the lake and disappears, and everyone freaks the fuck out. And kind of during this time, there's also like the lake is in a drought, like they've been having a drought, and the fucking dam is all fucked up. Like there's a big dam that kind of helped create the lake as they know it today. And so that's like another thing where it's like it's might be an environmental effect of that dam, but it's also like yeah, it's kind of whatever. But anyway, the point is that the lake's drying up and like you kind of get like little clues here and there about kind of what's going on because they kids keep talking about like finding like oh they saw like wolves over in the woods and it's like oh there haven't been wolves in the swamp for fucking 60 years or like 100 years or not since the 50s or whatever and like oh look Anna brought home this like extinct or like this moth that was locally extinct since like the 1950s when the dam got built and ecologically destroyed the lake for a while. And so it's like, oh, there's weird stuff. There's like this stuff from the past, and like, whoa, it's creepy. And so it's like, your thoughts are if you go into this movie with like no guidance whatsoever, you're either thinking, okay, it's either ghosts or time travel, and this doesn't feel like a ghost movie necessarily. It's got some like spooky shit going on, but it seems more like time travel. And so you're kind of you're already in the headspace where it's like, all right, we're probably dealing with time travel. Let's see how this goes. Now, concurrently, at least in the way that the frame, like that literally the scenes are placed in the movie, concurrently, there is a dude named Paris. And Paris is a guy whose mom, let's put this mom here. Mom. His mom, who we don't we don't know her name initially. But in the very first scene, we see him and his mom in a car, and they go off this old rickety ass bridge that goes over a part of the lake. And unfortunately, his mom drowns, and Paris is able to escape, but he can't get to his mom in time, and she drowns. And so it's like that's fucked up. And apparently, she used to get like seizures and stuff, and he tries to figure out like he kind of ever since then he's been figuring out like, oh, did she have a seizure? Like, I don't think she had a seizure. His dad, Ben, believes like, oh, she had seizures all this time in like past years and things like that. It was probably just that, and you're not remembering it correctly. But Paris is like, no, no, I gotta find out kind of like what this is, and like it's something. He has this idea that it's something to do with the lake because he's like a dredger, and he's like constantly finding like old weird old infrastructure stuff in the lake, and he thinks that there's like something in the lake that maybe messed with his mom somehow and caused the crash. There's something like that. I don't remember his exact theory, but either way, he kind of thinks the doctors are wrong, but his dad's kind of gotten over it at this point. I'll write that in. Dad. Ugh, damn. I'm so bad at fucking MS Paint. Dad. All right. Yeah, but he's investigating. And in the meantime, he kind of reconnects with this old girlfriend of his, who I don't think is also named initially, but I think goes by the nickname C at some point. And you might notice a similarity between C and the name Celeste. And I guess if you caught that early, I didn't catch that early. If you did catch that early, then you figure out, oh, C is Celeste from the past. So we're seeing a younger version of her, which means that this plot, this kind of plot that's going on with Paris trying to figure out what happened to his mom, is happening years ago. And in fact, it's found out that it's almost 20 years ago, in the year of our Lord, 2003. Ugh. Sorry, 2003. So like anyway, so a bunch of shit happens. They slowly figure out kind of what's going on, and where Paris kind of goes back, he finds like his dad's old journal because his dad, Ben, used to keep track of his mom's seizures in a little journal thing. And so he kind of pieces it together and he lines it up with like survey history of the lake, and he finds out that each of the years and the time periods when his mom was having these seizures were times when the lake was dry. And he kind of makes this connection because when he's going out dredging one day, he hits like a certain spot, and he inadvertently hits the fucking time warp, basically. And he runs into it and he sees like this old oil well standing out in the woods where there wasn't any before because he's hit the time warp and he's gone back like 25 years or whatever. We don't really know how far back he went initially in his first encounter, but he gets like a bloody nose and has like a mild version of the seizures that his mom got. And so he goes like, "Oh shit, it's got to be something to do with the lake." And so I think that's kind of where he gets the idea like, "Oh, there's something to do with the lake that caused my mom's death." And yeah, and so he's like, yeah, he matches it up and he figures out like, oh shit, and these seizures were happening mostly when the lake was dry, which is like, I don't know. I feel like it's a thing that maybe Ben could have figured out if he was being so meticulous, keeping track of his wife's health. Like, oh, in the drought years, she has seizures. I feel like maybe he could have figured that out, but who knows? It was probably a little bit more random than that, but whatever. Paris kind of figures this out. And now note that this whole time up to this point in the plot, I didn't know that Paris was in 2003. But there were clues that I probably could have picked up where it's like, oh, the dam looks shittier. The bridge, the bridge in 2022 is out. You know, like they demolished it or like tore it down partially after his mom drowned. But yeah, anyway, in 2022, so everyone's out looking for Anna because she went out to try and find her sister and went out on a pontoon boat over in fucking just out into the lake somewhere because she's been going out and like hanging out in the lake by herself too, and it's like she really shouldn't be doing that because she's like 8, but once again, this is bumfuck fucking Louisiana, so people just kind of do whatever. But yeah, they're freaking out. Daniel's freaking out. Um, Ellie goes and tries to find her, but like initially can't, or no, she finds her initially. Or no, yeah, she goes into the time warp. Like she hits the time warp at some point and is like, "Oh shit, things look different." Um, and she goes back and there's this whole thing. Okay, sorry. Fuck me. All right, I'm kind of going off of memory and like a brief read through of the synopsis here. But she's like initially when she comes back home from her friend's house, her mom and stepdad are already freaking the fuck out. Like they're already freaked out and like mad at her. And she doesn't quite get why. But and like it explains that Anna is missing, but Ellie doesn't know why why they're mad at her immediately. But yeah, she goes back and she goes to try and get a boat to go and find Anna, but she finds that the pontoon boat is missing, which is weird because she had just taken it there to fucking come back from her friend's house. Because I guess everyone goes by the lake to get there, and I think the idea was that Anna got lost at some point and just ended up going right into the middle of the fucking woods. But yeah, so Ellie is like, oh shit. And there's like this kind of whole procedural where the dumbass sheriff comes in and is like, oh, well, we gotta figure this out. We gotta like kind of question you guys a little bit because you're the parents, and Celeste has had like, calls from Child Protective Services for being like fucking drunk and crazy or whatever. And so it's like a whole thing that kind of buys time for the Paris plot to catch up. And so from there, brain. Okay, eventually Ellie goes out on her own to go back there and try and find Anna. And kind of not simultaneously because they're in different time periods, but in the simultaneously in the movie, Paris is also like he hears every time there's like some sort of weird time warp thing, he hears like this grinding noise and which I believe is like literally the sound of like the oil pumps from the past coming through, which is kind of a cool effect. Um, but so he like hears that, and like his dad is dying of cancer, or has just like started to get a cancer diagnosis. But like he hears like the noise from out in the swamp, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna go out there and see if I can figure out what the fuck is going on. And so he goes out there. Meanwhile, Ellie goes out and she goes into the hits the time warp again, and she finds Anna, but and takes her back, but she realizes that she's still. Oh no, she realizes that she ended up traveling to a different point in time. That she actually just traveled to like about like a month before. Or no, yeah, she traveled either is like some fucking amount of time. Hang on, hang on. Got to go back to plot synopsis here. Other turns, story comes back. You know, no, see, there was a confusing bit in the middle. Okay, rushes back to the lake, finds Anna. Okay, yes, but she finds out that this point was actually 1 month in the past when Anna had run off, because Anna had run off another time too. So yeah. So she had actually traveled back 1 month in the past, found the Anna of that running away time, and then brought her home. But yeah, and then she goes and she travels back to yeah, like she ends up having to like travel back again, and that's why everyone's so fucking mad at her because she had already showed up once and looped through, and she had like because this version of her that finds the Anna from 1 month ago comes back, but the yeah, but it's the wrong timing, and so she just kind of comes back, and they're like, "Hey, what the fuck? You were just here." And that's why they were mad at her afterwards because she showed up like 2 minutes before, and then goes and runs and steals her own pontoon boat, which is why it disappeared initially. Which is, I know I'm not really making a ton of sense right now, but it's like fucking, there's two boats. Okay, all right, hang on. Two boats, boats. One goes to Anna, one goes to Ellie. Um, but then yeah, Anna's boat is lost in the fucking swamp. Ellie takes like her boat disappears because it goes back in time because she steals it from herself. So she takes a spare boat, finds Anna minus 2 months or 1 month. Yeah, 1 month. So finds the Anna from 1 month ago, brings her back, but realizes she's still in the 1 month zone because it's like she's in the world of 1 month ago. It's not like a spatial anomaly. Like it's basically just a portal to a world of a different time. So she brings her back, but she brings her back like 1 month ago. And so when she comes back again and yeah, and everyone's pissed at her because they're like, "Hey, you were just here. What the hell? Why aren't you finding Anna?" And like, yeah, and so she steals her own boat from herself and then because she gets back somehow the way that the time works she gets back to like right before she like the her from the past initially comes back from her friend's house so she precedes herself and so initially everyone's kind of calm and so she goes and she like yeah then she steals her own boat goes back and then second version of Ellie, who's just getting back from her friend's house, gets bitched at because everyone's like, "What the fuck have you been? You were just here. What do you mean you don't know what's going on? Where's Anna?" Ooh. Like doing all her shit. Like they're kind of dicks. Let's put that dicks. I'll just do it with an X. Right? So it's like you got them. They're kind of mean to her or whatever. She goes back into the time warp to try and find Anna, like the Anna from her time. Um, Simultaneously, Paris goes into the swamp. He has a boat. Um, yeah, he has like his dredger boat, and he goes out. And in order, so this time, Ellie, in order to make sure she's navigating to the right place, she ties like a tether to her boat and tethers herself in so she can just go and find the real Anna or like the Anna from her time and take her back. And yeah, so he finds her, takes her back, or that's the intent anyway. But she's not quite able to find her because it's like kind of it's murky as shit, and like it's kind of random every time that the time warp happens. So it's like sometimes you're going back to 2003, sometimes you're going back just 1 month ago, sometimes you're going back to 1970 or 1920 or some fucking crazy time. And in Paris's case, he goes back when he hits his time warp, he goes all the way back to, let me just like, he goes back to fucking 1952. And this is why people were seeing all the wolves and shit, because in 1952, there were wolves and moths, wolves and extinct moths. And he goes back Because like he goes through the time warp and he sees all the fucking he sees like a working oil drill, like a oil pump, just pumping oil out of the ground because that's what they were doing. They were just strip mining the land for resources. And he also finds Anna, who had gone through the he also finds Anna because Anna had gone through the time warp and gotten injured. So she's like hurt, like ouch, ouch, ouch. Wee, wee, wee. So you got like the thing from like medical stuff. I'll put a snake in there too. Blue Cross, Blue Shield, whatever the fuck. Right. But she's injured and she's like dying. And so Paris is confused. He doesn't quite know he's in 1952 yet, but he just goes to try and find help. But he figures out he's in 1952 when he sees a big ass fucking dam being constructed and a bunch of dudes driving an old ass truck going by. And he flags down the dudes and he's like, "Oh shit, hey, she's injured. You gotta help her. She needs help." And they're like, "Oh, did the wolves get her?" And he's like, he doesn't really know. It's like probably the wolves didn't get her. It seemed like she just got like her leg impaled on a stick because she fell back into a different time, and then all of a sudden there was a stick there, and it went through her leg. We don't see that happen, but that's kind of implied what's happened, that she just got confused, went through the time warp, fell, and busted up her leg on a sharp stick. But anyway, the guys driving the truck back in 1952, they're very confused. I think that they believe, I think that they suspect Paris of being like a pedophile or something, because they're like they're like, hey, where were you doing that girl in the woods? What were you doing to your girl in the woods? Why is she wearing weird clothes and shit? Why are you wearing weird clothes and shit? 'Cause he's just wearing like a fucking t-shirt and like pants from 2003. And they're in 1952. They're wearing their fucking overalls. Anna's wearing like a fucking pink fucking jacket thing from 2020. And so they're all very confused. They think Paris is a pedophile. Paris is like, ah, shit, I got to get the fuck out of here. I got to get back to my time, 2003, and figure all this shit out. And he tries to go back, and he's in his panic. He follows Ellie's tether, and so he follows Ellie's tether back out to 2022. And so he's out there 2022 when Anna is missing, and so and so then in 2022 he basically gets suspected of being like some type of pedophile or kidnapper again because he's like this strange guy who popped out in the middle of nowhere in the middle of a missing child case, Anna. Meanwhile, Ellie ends up getting swapped around. She ends up going popping out in 2003. So Ellie, yeah, after doing all this shit, she ends up popping out in 2003. Where Anna is absolutely not. Anna is not there. Because Anna is, or like the Anna that she knows is in 1952, hopefully getting patched up by the fucking worker guys who were very confused, but they seemed sympathetic and wanted to help the kid. So, yeah, so she's in 2003. She's figured out that there's some type of time warp going on. Paris knows there's a time warp. He's in 2022. He ends up getting like arrested or like taken in for questioning. And he goes in the hospital and he knows he's fucked because he knows that there's no fucking way that anyone is gonna believe him. That anyone's gonna believe that he's A, not a pedophile, and B, that he's from a different time. So he's just like, yeah, he's in there, but he's figured out that like I think he ends up kind of running the calculations in his brain, and he knows when his mom was born, and he knows kind of what his mom looks like, and he thinks about it for a while, and he realizes, oh shit, this little girl that I found, who obviously comes from this time, She has the same name as my mom, Anna. And then my mom was her, they don't know exactly when she was born because she was an orphan. And he's like, oh shit, she was an orphan. They didn't know her parents. They just like found her out in the woods back in 1952. And so they estimated her birthday to be 1946. And it's like he has this connection. He's like, oh shit, Anna. Hang on, let me select this shit here. Anna is actually, oh my fucking God. Anna is my mom. I can't fucking move this for some reason. Let me move it. And God, Anna, there we go. Anna is actually, God damn. No, stop. Fuck. There we go. Anna, Anna is Paris's mom. Is Anna, right? Anna, she doesn't really, she's very confused. She got like really badly injured. She doesn't really know where she is or like kind of how things work. But eventually she just kind of gets integrated as an orphan and enrolled in a school in 1952. And then eventually she just becomes a teacher. And we figure this out because Ellie has figured out like, oh fuck. Okay, like something's going on. There's some sort of weird loop in that lake. She ends up running into like while in 2003, she ends up running into fuck, stop it. C, aka Celeste, who's like and her mom had already told her the story where it's like, oh yeah, I ran into some like oh, I assumed some girlfriend of his from the past, and she was just crazy, and that's because Ellie sees her wearing her dad's pendant and is like, hey, where'd you get that from? And she runs into Celeste. She basically runs into her mom from the past. She doesn't know it's her mom, but she figures it out because it's talking about Paris. She figures out that oh, it has the other half of this amulet that my mom had, or no, that my dad had, and it was it was because that other thing, it was Anna's little amulet thing. That's why she recognizes because she's like, oh, why do you have Anna's amulet? And it's like, oh shit, this is from. And it's like, oh, this is from my boyfriend's mother. Have you seen him? Have you seen my boyfriend? He disappeared after his mom died. He didn't kill himself, did he? Can you just tell me where he is? And Ellie's like, "Oh shit," because she knows she's screwed. She can't fucking figure her way out of this. So she, like, yeah, she gets in like she gets accidentally gets into kind of a scrap with Celeste 'cause she's like, where did you get this amulet?" And he's like, "It's just my fucking thing." And Ellie like takes it with her, and so Ellie has figured out. They kind of both simultaneously figure out, "Oh shit!" So Anna got somehow got put back in time. I don't think Ellie quite knows exactly how it worked, but Paris knows that Anna went back in time to 1952 and became his mom. And Ellie then kind of figures out through that, oh shit, this Paris guy is my dad. And she's like, oh fuck, I gotta get back in time and maybe see if I can help him or something. And so she's like running back. In 2022, meanwhile, there's about to be like a storm. Rain. Rain's coming to 2022. And that means the time portal closes because the portal's only open if you know what, this would be a lot better easier if I just use text here. Hey, let me just text it up. No, god damn it. Fucking text, dude. Portal closes in rain. Because it's dry. It's like the lake being dry allows the time portal to happen. And so Paris has figured that out because he did the whole thing with the charts and with his mom's seizures and seeing when the droughts happened. And he's like, "Oh fuck, I'm handcuffed to this hospital bed. I'm fucked, and I need to get out of here now." in his attempts to escape, which he does eventually escape, he ends up tricking the sheriff because the sheriff's a fucking bumpkin and lets him use the bathroom by himself, which is total like just goofball, like eternally elected sheriff because no one else wants to do it in this parish township thing type of goofball shit. But Paris escapes, and in the meantime, he actually ends up. His dad is still alive. His dad is like barely alive. His dad is dying. This guy is this guy's straight up dying. He's like on his deathbed of cancer. But Paris finds him, and obviously Ben, his dad, is freaking the fuck out because he's like, fucking, oh shit, this is my son. Um, this is my son from 20 years ago when he disappeared. Like my son disappeared 20 years ago. And Paris kind of explains the whole thing to him where it's like, "Oh yeah, no. It's I was right. Like I was right. It wasn't the seizures that killed her. It was just like an accident, or it was like the lake time thing that killed her. And she was actually this little girl that I met, and I saved her. And that's why, this was all ended up meant to happen. Like, it wasn't anyone's fault. And it's kind of like this emotional, confusing moment. You don't really know if his dad actually understands it or not. But anyway, the police are breaking in, so Paris has to jump out the window, and he ends up stealing a car and going on a long ass police chase. And he tries to, in his desperation, he gets to the new bridge, and or no, he gets to like the top of the dam, and he's like, "Oh fuck, I'm getting cornered by the police here," and so he jumps off the dam and tries to just kind of swim back to the portal. But unfortunately, that at that point, the dam, which had already been having structural problems at that point, finally partially gives way, and the tidal wave just swamps him, and he drowns, and so he's not able to get back to his own time. Ellie, however, is able to navigate her way back, and she finds out more stuff about Anna, aka her grandmother, right? Because Anna is Anna becomes Paris's mom after meeting this Ben guy somewhere like when she's an adult and she's a teacher. Ellie finds out through some microfiche or like through like an internet. She goes to an internet cafe, which is like, how does this girl from 2022 know what an internet cafe is? That doesn't really matter. She gets in there and she's able to use the computer for 10 minutes to find like some old newspaper articles about Anna. And Anna basically like grew up as an orphan, but then became like a well-respected teacher, got married, had the son named Paris, and she's like, "Oh my God, Paris! Like that's like my dad, and that's the guy who like I don't know if she knows that he saved her, but I think somehow she kind of figures it out, maybe. I don't exactly know. I don't know if they actually run into I don't think they run into each other at any point because I think that would have like ripped a hole in reality or something. But the point is that yeah, basically Anna got to grow up and live basically a full life. Died a little bit young by uh, falling off the bridge and drowning. But yeah, she figures that out and is like, "Oh shit, yeah, Anna was she was a teacher and she was well loved by everybody." And she's like, "Oh my God, it's so sad. I gotta go back. Now I gotta get the fuck out of here and maybe see if I can help Paris." But unfortunately, Paris is already drowned. Ellie manages to get back, but she gets back a little too late, and at that point, the flooding, like from the rain, has like filled up the lake again, right? And then the portal closes in rain, and the water comes up and kills the portal and snaps off her tether. And so that was her tether back into 2003, and so she can't return. And so she's like, "Ah, shit." And Paris is just like drowned somewhere. And they're like, "Oh yeah, that guy who drowned." But now Ellie understands kind of the whole thing generally that Anna, her stepsister, her became her grandmother, which means that Daniel, her stepdad, is actually also her great grandfather, technically. You don't really know who her mom is. That doesn't really matter. Like, man, this doesn't matter. But anyway, the whole movie, it comes full circle because the whole thing was like Daniel's been like kind of humble this whole time. He's like, I know that I can't actually really be your dad, and I know that I'm not like really technically family. I'm just a guy who married your mom. But it's like, as it turns out, he actually is technically real family. Like they are blood related, incidentally, due to this time warp. And Ellie kind of like says that to him in a way that's like reassuring, even though Daniel doesn't quite get it because he doesn't know there's a fucking time warp, but Ellie does, and it's like an emotional moment. But yeah, and then she basically tells her mom like, "Hey, I went back to 2003 and I found this, I found the rest of this amulet here, and and basically like Paris like that he didn't leave us because he didn't leave us because he didn't like want to be with us. He left because he had to because he was in the wrong time and wrong place, wrong time. But he he saved Anna, so Anna was able to live a full life, but just lived it in the past rather than with them in 2022. And it's kind of like it's a like listen, if you can kind of like figure out the time travel shit or like get your head around it, it's actually a very heartwarming movie about family. But just to recap, okay? So let's if I can clear away all this shit, that would be great. I don't know if I can though. See, nope, this is just zooming everything in. Um, can I make a new page? Ooh, about another one. No. Okay, fuck it. I don't know how to use MS Paint. Anyway, just to recap, it's more like some people on Reddit, I think they were talking about like, "Oh, this is like is it like or some type of weird incest thing whereas like are Celeste and Daniel related?" And it's like, "No. No, they aren't. They aren't related. It's not there isn't any incest going on. God damn it. Ellie and Anna are related, but it's only listen, it's only complicated if you really try and like talk it out and talk about who's related to who, like in like all the characters. But if you just think about the lineage being Anna is the mom of Paris, who's the dad of Ellie, and Celeste is in both time frames. She's in 2022 because she's Ellie's mom. And she's in 2003 because she's Paris's girlfriend who gets pregnant right before he disappears, trying to find out what happened to his mom, who is Anna, who he then saves in a weird time paradox thing. Um, but yeah, so it's like, yeah, Ben is Ben. He's just a guy who met Anna when she was adult, sometime in like the 60s, probably. And yeah, and they had Paris, and Paris got Celeste pregnant with Ellie right before he disappeared, and that's the lineage. It really doesn't need to get more complicated than that. It's just people wanted to try and be all smart and figure out the time travel thing and figuring like, oh, why is Ellie saying that Daniel is family? Because he's technically her great grandfather. Because even though he probably had Anna sometime in like 2010, Anna grew up due to the time warp in the 1950s and 60s and lived out her life before, basically lived out the rest of her life before Ellie was born. And so it gets complicated that way, but it's not like there's not some weird, it's not like, oh, it's not like Celeste, oh, Daniel does not mean that like is related to Celeste. And it's like, nope, Celeste, they were very careful about this. Different lineages, so there's no blood relatives getting into relationships like later on. All right. She's just Celeste is just some redhead, just some redhead down on the Louisiana border, and got with a guy named Paris, and that's about that. Okay, it's not that hard. It's just hard because of the way that the movie is shot, and they don't spoon feed it to you like a baby. All right, it's a movie where you have to think a little bit, and then the twist is it's more like a I'm my own grandfather type of thing, where Anna's like her own. Anna's like her own grandmother, basically, because she's technically Ellie. You ever heard that song? It was made by some comedian. It was like Bill Paxton, not Bill Paxton. Some old like music comedian like had the song "I'm My Own Grandfather" and about like a guy who marries like an older woman, and then his dad marries like the older woman's daughter, and then it's through the weird looping, it's like becomes his own grandfather. That's what this is. It's Anna goes back in time and becomes basically her own grandmother because she's Ellie's grandmother, and Ellie is her sister or her stepsister. And so it's kind of like she's her own grandmother, basically. Because it's like because that so Celeste becomes her stepmom by way of her, just incidentally meeting Daniel. Like that part isn't part of the time warp. It's just they just met while Anna was alive in the 2010 versions, and then she lives out the rest of her adolescent and adult life in the 50s through the 90s, right? It's not that hard. There's a bunch of shit with the wolves and stuff, but that's just because like wolves and moths and shit are coming out of the 1952 portal. There's other stuff that's more just like it's kind of seems confusing, but it's just like clues that relate to the fact that it's a fucking time loop, or not a time loop, a weird time warp with a portal. All right, like an alligator, they find an alligator with its leg cut off. That's because it probably got amputated when the portal closed up when it rained last. Okay. And that's what's implied because then when the portal eventually closes again, it just snaps the rest of like the Ellie's tether out of existence because it just cuts it off and chops it back into the past. Right? So that's what happened to that alligator. If any of you were worried about the alligator and were trying to figure out what the fuck happened to the alligator, those of you who watch this movie and then watch this video, you know how it is. That's how it went. That's how it went down. The alligator got hit by the portal because it closes in rain. Remember, the portal closes in rain. So yeah, not much more than that. Don't be stupid. Don't be bringing like, oh, isn't it like kind of weird that it's like, no, it's not that weird. They didn't know each other before. They aren't blood related. Okay? It's fine. Ellie is also like technically like her grandniece, or no, Ellie's also kind of like Anna's granddaughter in a way, but like, yeah, yeah, right. It's just the more family, the more f family labels that you add to it, the weirder it gets. But you just got to follow the lineage. I know this is obviously very clear to everybody. Like look at this. Clear as day. Clear as fucking day. But really the lineage is it's in reality it's just I'll even circle it to make it easier. You get oh, you fucking son of a bitch. Anna. All right, that actually didn't select anything. Okay, it's not even selecting. All right, but it's Anna to Paris to Ellie. And for whatever reason, it's not selecting any of it. That's okay though. It's not selecting anything. Okay. But you get it, right? Leave it in the comments. Leave a comment if you don't get it, and I'll explain it to you further. And and if you really don't get it, then I'll come to your house and explain it to you in person. And I'll like do hand motions and stuff like that. I'll make little puppets so I can show you that where the incest doesn't happen. But yeah, just so you know, like it seemed like some people were of the inclination that this is a movie where there's incest, but there isn't. It really isn't. It's just time travel. Okay? It's just M. Night Shyamalan bullshit. Anna to Paris to Ellie. And it just happens that Ellie and Anna were born roughly in the same set of years, and their lives just happened to overlap because Anna ended up living most of her life in the 20th century. Okay? It all makes sense. Just watch the movie, and using this very simple and easy to follow guide, you will be able to make sense of this somewhat interesting indie sci-fi film. Okay? All right. Feel free to hit up the at OTNT podcast on Blue Sky and Mastodon and YouTube and Instagram. Maybe coming to TikTok or X. Probably if there's gonna be anything, it's gonna be putting up shorts on TikTok or YouTube Shorts. Um, Also trying to figure out if I want to even get a RSS feed because right now YouTube is working okay, but I think for the audio stuff, we are gonna try and get an RSS feed going to get these episodes up on Spotify and SoundCloud or whatever. I guess maybe not SoundCloud. Maybe SoundCloud. A lot of podcasters put their stuff up on SoundCloud too. So we'll have all sorts of things. There's gonna be all sorts of updates coming. I'll keep you posted. Just make sure you're keeping track of what's going on at OTNT Podcast. Um, and yeah, feel free to leave a comment, leave a like, send me an email. Do whatever if you have any questions, but just follow this little guidebook here and you'll be a-okay. All right. I'm hoping that I'm not out of time already, but it seems that we should be okay on time. So I'm gonna have to cut this part. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.